first answer that is most relevant to this question is I had no desire or intention to be in hospitality. To be completely honest, it's something that I fell into because at the time that I started doing it, I needed a job, right? But you look back and you reflect, and I was taught to take care of people from jump.
Yeah.
Right. It's the way that I was raised in my house. So my mother, being the proactive totalitarian that she is, applied to colleges for me, and she got me into a program, the only one that would take me because I had applied so late in the year.
Yeah.
Into a state school, upstate New York, right? Into computer information systems, and obviously there's nothing wrong with being a computer programmer. Those dudes rule the world, right?
Literally.
But it's not for me. So I failed out. I failed out my first semester. Which didn't go well with the family. And instead of coming home and facing the music, I thought that I'd be proud and powerful. And I was like, I'm just going to stay up here and work and let you guys figure it out. Right? The only job I could get was at a McDonald's. I was barely 17, almost 18.
Yeah.
Couldn't get a job nowhere. And they hired me. And, it was an experience. Like, it's not hard to learn the mechanics. It's super hard to deal with the people.
Yeah.
I got let go really early. I hated my job, and it didn't take my friends much to convince me to do things that would get me fired. I got fired for stealing a case of quarter pounders.
That's badass.
From McDonald's.
I kind of would probably.
I was feeding
That's a way to go out.
I was feeding me and my roommates, So
Yeah.
Taking from the rich and giving to the poor, right?
Yeah.
But then because of my experience at McDonald's, I got a job as like a short order cook, more as a dishwasher, in like the town diner, and that was my first experience really working in the kitchen, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. Right, it was fun. I hung out with the guys, made some food.
Yeah,
didn't seem like anything crazy. I moved. I left New York again. I left New York City again. This time I went to Rhode Island, which is where I had family, and at the time, my stepfather was working out there. This was in the late 90s, early 2000s. So while I'm trying to figure out what to do with my life, my dad took me up there with him, right? And I started to work with him. And I'm 17 years old, and I'm standing on the third floor with no roof over my head, pulling nails out of the frame of the house. And my dad comes up with tears in his eyes, and he takes the hammer out of my hand, and he says, "Go home, like to my aunt's house." And I asked him what I did wrong. I thought that I had done something wrong, like work ethic, right? And all he said was like, I don't do this so that you do this. It's that father mentality. You're gonna put yourself through everything so your kids don't have to, right?
Yeah.
Providence, Rhode Island, is the home for Johnson & Wales University.
Yeah.
And Johnson & Wales was a trade university specializing in food and service management, culinary skills. That was on the come up because at that time, it was the advent of the Food Network. Emeril Lagasse was everywhere, just like bam! You know what I mean? It was like a t-shirt,
Yeah.
So overnight, people like Emeril gave a new shine, a new luster to what people were doing in hospitality. All of a sudden, it wasn't an afterthought or a joke of a job to be a chef or even a line cook. There was an allure, there was a popularity, there was a certain notoriety, a coolness to it, right? And that shit attracted me.
Yeah.
Because New York kids, Harlem kids, we're all about that shine. I went to my aunt. My aunt helped me set up a open school visit. She helped me set my transcripts. I took the test. They took me. I filed for financial aid on my own, took out my own loans. They took me, right? And that's how I started in school. And to kind of pay my way through, those little like experience jobs at the diner and McDonald's started getting me in the kitchens in Providence. And that's how I got into it. It became something that I started to do because I thought it was cool, and I kind of fell in love with it in the process. My career took a really crazy turn because I went into hospitality thinking I was going to be a chef.
Yeah.
And now I'm a star tender, and I have my own music business,